It was more like a Peloton with legs. And the trainer was just like screaming at her. It was bizarre. What's up, everybody? Eric here, Tabletop Haven. Sorry about that. Coming at you with another After One-ish Plays kind of comparison kind of situation here. We're dealing with Ares Expedition, specifically the Crisis Mode. So, when I did my unboxing of this, I had talked about wanting to go back, because it's been a while since I played Ares Expedition. So I wanted to go back. I wanted to play the solo mode in the base game, and then play Crisis and compare the two. So that's what this video is. I played both of them. So here's my After One-ish plays. I've played the solo mode of Ares Expedition a good number of times. And then I played it once, and then I played Crisis once. So this is gut reaction, initial feelings of where I'm at after one-ish plays, after true one-ish plays of Ares Expedition Crisis. Okay, so in the base game solo mode, how it works is essentially you have 25 turns to fully get everything maximized. You get your oxygen, the temperature, and all the ocean tiles flipped. You do that by the end of 5 rounds, or 25 turns, however you want to shake it out, you win the game. There's some like mitigation with like you can get free bumps and things like that to make it easier or more difficult, but that's essentially how that game works. Crisis is the same but different, but the same but different. So when you're doing the base game solo variant, the cards are random in what the opponent is going to pick. So their action cards are going to be random. So they're going to go through the 5 different actions randomly, and that determines one round. You're going to pick one. You can never pick the same one back to back, just like when you're playing a regular game. But you don't know what they're going to pick. I mean, you can deduce as it gets further on because you flip up all 5 cards, so you're going to know for sure what the last card is, and then you have a 50-50 shot, and so on and so forth, until... So, essentially, you have 50 actions over the course of the game that you're going to be able to do. The 25 you choose, and the 25 the deck chooses. Factoring in that you're going to hit the same one, we'll say a couple times, you have like 48-ish actions that you're doing to fully terraform, get Mars fully terraformed. And you just play it out, and it's just pretty simple. The thing I like about that version is, I'm not going to say it's quick, but it's quicker, and it's very, very regimented, very like, okay, boom, boom, boom. You can set a plan, you can just go about your plan, and you can just do it, which I think is good. I think it's fine. I think it's good. So Crisis Mode is the new solo mode, or cooperative if you want to play it. I played it solo. I don't know if I mentioned that. I played it solo, so this is based on the solo rule, or the solo variant, and one play with just me, little old me. Yeah, that's right. So they have a similar where you're going to be randomizing the actions that the, not opponent, but the I forget what it's called. You're working with them, but it's kind of like the action cards. So you're going to get to pick 2, and then the cards are double-sided. Well, not double-sided, but they flip. So you can choose which 2 combinations of actions that you want to have in addition to the one you choose. So essentially, every turn, you're going to get 3 different actions that you can perform. So that's different already than the base solo mode. So instead of 2 actions, you're going to get 3. Now, you do get slightly less... I think ultimately you're going to end up with more turns in this way because you're getting 3 actions per. Your deck is based on these crisis cards, and once you get 3 from the bottom, you trigger like potential endgame. If you, after this card shows up, you have that turn and the final 3 crisis rounds to fully terraform Mars, and then you win. So you're essentially trying to do the same thing. The difference is in this game, everything starts maximized, and the crisis is, oh god, a meteor's coming, bad stuff is happening, it's taking out our systems, which is knocking down the temperature, it's knocking down the oxygen, so we have to bump those things back up, and by the end, you want it to be, at the end of all the catastrophes, you want it to be back online where it's fully livable and you're fully terraformed and you're good to go. So that's how the difference works. After one play, so again, I feel like this could change because I think that this, it felt longer. Because I think actually there is more turns, like actual physically more turns that you're doing, but also you're getting 2 of these cards and you're having to decide, okay, do I want to do this? Do I this? Okay, I picked this last time, so I want to do this. So there's slightly more of a time every single turn that you're deciding what you want to do. So it's like, I did production. I want to do production, but I don't construct. But I did construction, so I can't pick construction. So I develop, and so you're making those decisions, and there's only 5, so it's not like it's excruciatingly brain-burning, difficult decisions. But it is a decision space that does take more time than flipping a card and picking yours. And the other one, you pick yours first, and then you flip. So it's just random. So you know what you're picking. Having that decision, you're already down to 4 cards, and you pretty much know what you're going to pick with a little bit of deduction from what they're doing. So in the base game, it's quicker because there's less interaction with the game. You're just kind of doing your own thing and trying to terraform Mars. Whereas in this, the Crisis deck is popping up things left, right, and center that you're having to deal with. And if you don't deal with them, then bad things happen. So let's just take an example. We're going to look at a Tier 1 Crisis event. So, a Barren Crater. So it starts off, and it's going to give you a persistent ability on it. This is going to be something that happens at the beginning of every single turn, okay? If this card is not dealt with. So either you are going to go down in temperature, or you're going to lose one of your ocean tiles. Okay, so if you don't deal with this card, by the next turn, one of those things, you get to choose, it's an or. As the game goes on, and it might be both. It might be you go down two temperature slots and things like that. So it's going to get progressively worse. Then there's also an immediate effect. So this is going to happen at the beginning of next turn if you don't deal with this. Then there's the immediate effect. Draw a card. Decrease the oxygen 1 step. So draw a card, that's a good thing. Decrease oxygen 1 step, that's not a good thing. Sometimes they're good things, sometimes they're bad things, sometimes they're a combination of good and bad things. And then you have the goal and how to ultimately get rid of this card. How do we defeat this card? You have to play a blue card to remove a counter. So this, as you can see, it has 2 counters on it. So this is going to come into play with 2 counters. And every time you play a blue card, you get to remove one of those counters. Once you remove the final counter, this card is gone. You've dealt with the crisis. So, what I like a lot about this is that you can't just, this is what I'm going to do, this is my plan, I'm going to play this, oh, okay, I have a good hand here, okay, I'll do this time, this, that, okay, and then and you can kind of plan out based on what's in your hand. These can really, really wreck your world if you don't deal with them. So, having to deal with these and having to, on the fly, be like, oh man, I need to play a plant tag to remove a counter. I don't really want to play this card that has a plant tag, but if I don't play this card, every single turn, the temperature is going to go down too. So, what do I do? Now, the cool thing is the game you can see, I don't know if you can see or not, I don't know how good my camera is, but at the bottom it shows you if this is for one player. And the number of counters is usually very low, because I'm playing it one player. So it might be 1, maybe 2. I don't think there was any 3s in there, maybe, but I don't think so. So generally you're only having to do one of those things, where I'm guessing if you're playing with a bigger group, there might be 3 or 4 counters you have to deal with. So as a combined unit, you have to play 3 or 4 plant tag cards, which I think is cool. So I think cooperatively it could work quite well. As a solo mode, I think it works good too, because it's easily scalable. Now they also give you the option to throw in these tier, quote-unquote, tier zeros, which I did in the first game. So it's just 3 cards that basically give you free turns where there's no crisis you're dealing with. When I played the base game, I won quite easily. I don't remember the strategy I used, but I won pretty easily. Crisis mode, I won, but it was more sketchy. I also used 3 of these. You can obviously tone it down. You can use 2 of them, or 1 of them, or 0 of them. If you just want to jump right into the crisis, I don't think I'm ready for that yet. I'll probably drop down to 2 next time I play, just to see, you know, how much more difficult does it make it. But I think the very interesting thing about this is I think there's very seriously a place for both of these modes, and I don't see one and the other and be like, I'm never playing that mode again, or I'm never playing that mode again. I think there's a very, very decent place for both of them. If I just want a chill game of like, play Terraforming Mars, I'm going to see what kind of engine I can build this time, see if I can try and do this strategy this time, and see if I can do a plant strategy this time, I'll try that, and you can just do that and just chill and play the base solo version of the game, and do that very easily. Whereas if you want a more like tactical, like decisions on the fly, I got to deal with stuff as it's coming up, okay, I got to take care of that, I can't just let that sit. And if you don't deal with multiple crises, they just stay there. You could potentially have 6 or 7 crises out there just wrecking you. Obviously, that would be a terrible idea, and you shouldn't. But theoretically, you could. But I think it's a very, very different game, and I think there's a very, very good place for both of them. If you just want that easy breezy Terraforming Mars chill feel of Ares Expedition, where you're just chaining cards together and playing cards and having fun, cool, do that. If you want the more thinky, more tactical, having to deal with things as they come up, like I think Crisis does a great job of that. So I think the nice thing is that there's a place for both of them. I have not touched Discovery, I have not touched Foundations in this box yet. That being said, I threw in some cards that might be from one or other of those sets. There's certain cards you have to pull out for Crisis mode, I don't remember. But one of the card types that does pop up is they have all the cards in Terraforming Mars have these little symbols on them. Burp, burp. Burp, burp. And they're all just little tags, different tags that they have. So in one of the new sets, it comes with this. These are all the tags of the different types and cards. And then there's cards that have blanks on them that allow you to add a certain add any tag you want to it. So I really like those cards because that gives you more flexibility in the game, which I think is fun. Anytime you have more flexibility, more chances to utilize cards you might be more difficult to get down. If you have these cards that let you add tags, you can more easily manipulate what's on the board and allow you to play more interesting things. And there's obviously cards that give you bonuses for different tags or give you discounts for different tags, so you can kind of manipulate that. The other thing that I really like that Crisis does that the base game doesn't is cards in Ares Expedition will give you victory points. Okay? When you're playing competitively, victory points matter because you're playing competitively. When you're playing solo mode base game, victory points don't matter at all. They're useless. They're literally, there's no point to them. Like, you get nothing for them. In Crisis, you get stuff for these. You get, I don't know if it might even be called victory points. You get points for every point on a card that you play. You can then use those points to eliminate Crisis counters off of your Crisis. So playing cards that actually give you victory points, there's a point to it. Whereas in the other game, you might play this card because you wanted these symbols and you wanted the ability, draw 2 cards. Not that fantastic, but cost 22. Like, a lot of the cards are more expensive than they're actually worth, so sometimes they have a place when you're playing in the base game, but a lot of times if you're playing a card with victory points, like, oh, put things on this card to get victory points. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter in the base game. Whereas in Crisis, it does. Because anytime, if you have cards that say, for every plant counter on this card, you get a victory point. Well, you can tally those onto your victory points and add them to your pool, which you can then use to deal with the Crisis tokens on your Crisis cards. And so that decision there was super smart, and I think a great decision, and it made it not feel useless to play these, because having the ability to use these points to just remove Crisis tokens off of things is a big deal. And it can be game changing, and that's just after one play. I'm sure that I haven't even tapped the surface of like how those can be better manipulated by myself. And I'm guessing like if you're playing with none of the 0 level free turns, having those victory points to really control those Crisis is going to be huge. And so, yeah, like I said, I think it's an interesting situation where both of the solo variants are 100% viable, and I think fun in their own way, and I'm going to want to play them both just depending on the mood that I feel like. I want to play Crisis more because I think that's where I tend to, is kind of that more, I'm not going to say difficult, but it is more difficult. I think that more difficult kind of tactical, where there's a little more going on, is kind of where I trend. But at the same time, sometimes I just want to like sit down and terraform Mars and just play and not have to think about it. Throw something on in the background, like a movie or something, and just kind of play and have fun. And I think you can do that very easily with the base game. So, I guess, do I have a rating? After one play, I'm gonna say like a 7.5, somewhere in there. I enjoyed it, but I think there's a lot more to explore. I think that number is likely to go up, because I think the system is good. I think the Crisis, there is a little element of like what you're like. Some cards are pulled out, so you're not going to see the same thing game after game after game. There's going to be a little bit of variability. And I'm not good enough, nor do I typically play games back to back to back so often that I get to memorize things, so I'm not going to be good enough to memorize what's coming up anyway. But there's a variable in there where you're pulling out certain cards, so you're not going to see the same thing every time. But yeah, so Terraforming Mars, Ares Expedition, Crisis specifically expansion, the Crisis expansion, I've not done with these. I know they have like the upgrading of your, I forget what they call these cards. These, your action selection cards, that you can upgrade them using one of those. Might be the Discovery expansion, I don't remember. But you can upgrade those to make them better, which I think is cool. That's something I want to explore. I don't know if you can combine that with Crisis or not. I haven't looked into it. I just wanted to get Crisis to the table, see what it looked like, see how it felt compared to the other one. And I feel like there's a place for both. I've obviously played the solo original a lot more, so I'm more comfortable with that. but I think Crisis ultimately will be the one that I enjoy more going forward. And I think that's one that I could very seriously consider playing cooperatively. I only played Ares Expedition once competitively. I thought it was long, but it was also with a teach. So take that for what you will. But anyway, 21 points for all you people out there for watching this far. I appreciate you. Thanks. If you made it this far, good on ya. Anyway, like, subscribe, all that garbage. Have fun, big love, play games. Yeah, just go out there and be a good person. Bye!